Hey, good Monday evening to you. What's happening, guys? How the heck is everybody? I am your humble, happy host, Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver. If this is your first time stopping by, thank you for stopping by. We got a lot of, well, for me, a lot of subs this weekend, and I think probably more than a few of them are folks who hopped over from Clownfish TV. I shouldn't say it like that, hop over, like you said, no, we're leaving and going over to his channel, because we might hate the admin side of it, but the community side of YouTube is pretty awesome. You know, it's not like, well, I can't be subbed to this channel and subbed to this channel. No. So thank you, guys, for stopping by and joining up. And if you're not familiar with the format, if you were just like, you know, I'm going to subscribe and I'm going to see what it is he does. You know, I won't go through the videos. I'll just see what it is that he does. Welcome. This is just a thing we do sometimes. Sometimes there's a lot of content. Sometimes it's just me pontificating on things. Sometimes I have something to say. And tonight kind of falls into all those categories. Because, boy, we have got a lot going on. Sorry, Vincent. But the ads do help. I'm sorry. So, yeah, welcome one and all. Now, the big thing today, we're going to talk a little bit about Q1 Queen of the Demon Web Pits in a little bit, and some other things in a little bit. But the big thing today, this is GUOGC Week, the Great Underground Online Gaming Convention is upon us. I told you guys when this channel hit 1,000 subs that I was going to host a little mini online gaming con, and we're doing it, and I want to talk to you about that. All my games are in the game grid, so what you need to do if you want to sign up, if you want to play in one of my games, let me see here, go over to band. Let me make sure I'm sending you to the right place. Let me make sure that I am sending you to the right place, because I don't want to I don't want you to be confused about this. So this is your invite to join our band server. Now, that's where the game grid is. So you'll go over there and you'll see games in the grid. Let me stick that up there. You'll see games in the grid, and then you can sign up for them. Where we're actually playing is over on Discord, okay? We have a convention Discord server, which I will share that with you now also. Let me do this, invite people, and I'm just going to copy the link. It's only good for 7 days, but guess what? Next Monday, it won't matter. So right there, you can see in the comments, and if you're over on Facebook and you need this information also, let me just put this info over there on Facebook also. There's the Discord server. So you are welcome to come over and use it and join us. Come on. And here's the band server also, because you guys over on Facebook won't see these comments. Dang it. That's not what I wanted. That's the band server and the Discord server. Did I just link the Discord? No, okay. All right. Anyway, you can do that. You can join us in both places. Now let's paste it. So sign up on Band, play on Discord, and I'll start giving out room assignments for play on Discord, okay? Now, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the logistics of it, because they haven't run smoothly, and that is the fault of a single person, and I want to take that person to task because they've kind of screwed up when I needed them to step up, and it's made things sort of slow and janky and awkward. This could have been really huge if they had gotten their shit together and not let anxiety and just neuroses get in the way. And I'm normally not into naming and shaming, but I got to do this because they really should have put more into making this something that I wanted for you guys. And it's me. It's me. So let me take a step back. I have seen so many projects and things descend into chaos because there were lots of different people who all wanted to put in their little 2 cents on how something worked, and things just strayed so far from the vision of the creator that the thing either didn't happen or it wasn't as good as it might have been. Yes, Dungeon Minister, signing up for my games, you just put a comment in the post because I don't know how to work Band, apparently. What I should have done. Now, first of all, that we have anything resembling sign-up sheets at all is thanks to the tireless efforts of Bo Ganora. That's a good thing. That deserves your praise. If you come away from this thing that we're doing and you're like, well, this went right, at least in reference to everybody else's signups and having a common place where everybody can get together, it's because Bo has done an outstanding job. In my worry that someone would drag things this way, I would wake up and find that I had been like deplatformed off I thought, no, I'm just going to do it all myself. I'm just going to do it all myself. It's going to be easy peasy. I'll just I'll find something to make a sign up sheet, and then that'll, and I'll do it all. It'll just be one guy. It'll succeed or fail on me. And it's kind of overwhelming. And I let myself get a little overwhelmed, a lot overwhelmed. So if you're like, I literally have been waiting for 2 months for this, or 5 months for this, or a year plus for this, and you've dropped the ball, something's not working, it's my fault. It's my fault. I hope you don't unsubscribe. I hope you don't leave. I hope you don't go away thinking that I am an idiot. Because any efforts in the future, any projects in the future, I will make sure are properly staffed. I will make sure that people who step up to volunteer to do things, as long as they got it together, I will let people help. Okay. So any bad stuff that happens as far as, organizationally, logistically with this, and I also need to thank somebody else. I need to thank the Dungeon Minister, because I had no intention of doing merch for the GUOGC. None at all. In 2 minutes with MS Paint, he made very funny, cool looking stuff, and you can go get your GUOGC merch off of his Teespring page. You can go there and you can get that stuff. So I don't want to, I don't want you guys to feel like I don't want to be the waiter who comes out and says, hey, everything's going okay in the kitchen, but just to let you know, if somebody gets food poisoning, we're sorry in advance. Okay, I don't want to do that. I don't want to turn you off to doing this. Now, with that said, I don't have my schedule in front of me. I thought I would be doing stuff Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm doing stuff Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I just have too many irons in the fire on Thursday. But there are lots of other games. There's a panel. There's an actual Q&A panel happening. Ricky Maru and a friend of his are running a Q&A panel. I'm hoping that Tracy Lesch will do a panel with me, maybe like to close things out on Sunday night. And if you don't know who Tracy Lesch is, well, you should, because Tracy is a swell guy. Tracy is one of the original creators of D&D back in the early 1970s. Now, let me qualify that. When I say Tracy's an original creator, he is one of the creative people who worked on original Dungeons and Dragons in the early 1970s. He didn't write it, although he did help create another role-playing game called It Came from the Late Late Show, which if you played that one is a lot of fun. But yeah, Tracy's art is why we have the Mind Flayer that we know and we love today, and the Roper. Tracy did all the original art for the Tomb of Horrors, the unpublished Tomb of Horrors, although you can get it in the Art and Arcana set, which you should definitely own a copy of. You should definitely play. So hopefully you can pry Tracy down and get him to chit chat with us as we kind of put our feet up and watch people take down their gaming tables and roll up their banners and so on and etc. We don't really have a vendor section. Nobody stepped up and said, hey, can I sell stuff? So, but I mean, a virtual vendor section, what would that would just be like a link back to a web page, right? But anyway, I think it's going to be good, and I think it's going to be fun. And I also think it's going to impact streaming this week. So, as I said, Thursday, I've got a lot going on. Probably the only quote-unquote regular streams will be tomorrow night's Ramble and then first edition AD&D, which again, if you're new to the channel, if you're a new viewer to the channel, on Tuesday nights, we do an AD&D live stream. This is not a Critical Role like thing, okay? I don't have meetings with my players offline unless it's to answer questions that they have about rules and so on. I don't decide well beforehand whether or not a character is going to perish. Just like an AD&D game should, the dice decide everything. So it is live, raw, authentic first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. We often use miniatures in Dwarven Forge out here on the table. I think it's kind of a neat visual treat So you guys, even if you're not going to go to GUOGC, if you're not going to attend any stuff at that, it's a fun live stream to watch. Now, also, Wednesday, we'll probably be doing Wastrel Wednesday with Kyle. We will answer your questions. And the answer to the question is always the dice are always right. But we will kind of bounce around any questions you've got about first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons or role-playing games in general, because remember, there's lots of other good classic RPGs out there. So I'm just adjusting my fan. I'm kind of burning up over here. And what else? So that is probably the short, truncated version of the week. Now, late Thursday night, I might just do an impromptu thing and talk a little bit about the con, but that would be late Thursday night. I don't know that I would announce it. Friday, I will be in games in the afternoon and evening. Saturday, I will be in games off and on all day. Sunday, I will be in games off and on all day. But then Monday, when we get back, things will start rolling per normal. And, we'll probably next Monday, if you've been following along, going all the way back many, many weeks, actually, we've been doing a deep, in-depth, intensive dive into G1, G2, G3, D1, D2, D3, and of course, Q1, Queen of the Demon Web Pits. So we're going to wrap up with Queen of the Demon Web Pits a little bit tonight, kind of tail and Charlie it. But probably starting next Monday, we're going to do a deep dive into the Slavers series, A1, A2, A3, and A4. And I'm really, really looking forward to digging into those, because those modules were actually written backwards. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that next week. So that's what we'll do. We'll do a deep dive in, a deep analysis. We'll talk about tournament versus campaign play and what is appropriate and when it is appropriate to use which. I'm of the opinion, just a little bit of a spoiler, if you're doing A1 as a one-shot, use the tournament. Even if you're not scoring people, you use the tournament version. But you'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean when we get there. Now I got people messaging me. Now we got people coming in the server. So that is the skinny, that is the lowdown on what's going on with the schedule over the next 10 days or so here at the show. So I hope you'll stick around. If you've just subbed, I hope you'll stick around. Now, again, we're going to talk about Q1. If you're new to this channel, one of the things that this channel is not is a lot of drama. Occasionally there's stuff that literally, it's not a matter of it bleeds in. It's not a matter of, well, we can just stuff a towel down there and stop that from seeping into our world. It's a flood, right? It's a flood of stuff. So there has been some drama discussion on this show about a couple of years ago, we had the Hickman and Weiss lawsuit with WotC, which got apparently squared away. There's the ongoing things with TSR3 and WotC. They're just too big to ignore. And for me to ignore them it would do you guys a disservice. But sometimes I do like to bring stuff up, and this is something that I just thought it was funny, and it's because somebody brought this up on the Discord server today. They linked to a discussion so let me see if I can get this, because this mouse is jank sometimes. So WotC has purchased D&D Beyond. In a few months, D&D Beyond will belong to WotC, because Wizards of the Coast has never, ever, ever been able to competently organize a community, ever. Everything they touch turns to garbage when it comes to a community. They had their own forums. They let basically 3E fans stampede all over first edition OD&D and basic fans. And then when they would say, look, you have a whole raft of forums. We're not fans of third edition. We're just trying to get along. Could you maybe, instead of jumping in here and saying, I think you should put Tomb of Horrors in Toril and convert it for 3.5. Could you maybe not do that because we don't like? Then the mods would come in and issue bans and warnings and shit like that. Then there was that stupid Gleemax thing that they did. And they're about to kill another community by their acquisition of D&D Beyond. Hail Michael Connor, Unbreaded. So someone sent me a post from D&D Beyond over on the Discord. And I saw something that was just so mind-bottlingly far out. Essentially, Wizards of the Coast. First of all, I want to take a quick mention of something. Do not buy digital only books if you care about the books. People they're like, oh, Bill, yeah, I love the Lord of the Rings, but man, I could never. It's like, you've got all those hardback and paperback copies of it. Yes, I have all those hardback and paperback copies of it because it can't be changed. Because it can't be taken away from me. It can't be censored. It can't be altered. I won't pull off my copy of Lord of the Rings in paperback from Ballantine. You know the one, the gold foil box set from back in the day. I won't take that off the shelf to find out that the covers are all still screenshots from Amazon's obscenity, The Rings of Power, instead of J.R.R. Tolkien's paintings. You have no such safety. Careful, Vincent. Be very careful. Anyway. And there is no greater proof than with these fans of the new edition who have basically found out that they may lose access to their digital D&D rules updates because it doesn't jive with WotC's current point of view on things. Which is just, that should be horrifying. That should throw you into paroxysm of rage and despair. These might be fragile. These might be increasingly rare. But they're mine, and Wizards of the Coast can't take them away from me. So this comment came up, and I'm gonna see if I can show this to you guys. Here, you know what? I'm just gonna put the link. I'm just gonna put the link in the chat, and I'll link this over to you over on Facebook too if you're watching on Facebook. It's because I'm nice like that. It's on D&D Beyond. And so the thread just kind of starts off. Somebody says, if you've already purchased Volo's Guide to the Metaverse here, you'll still have access to it. What is changing is that of May 17th, it will no longer be possible to purchase it, but previous purchases will retain access. And somebody responds to this and says, WotC's game plan is that anyone new to the game never sees the real canon of the game by not allowing those players access to the original material. Further, they are banking on DMs to fall prey to the new shinies, and the new is always better. Combine that with various power gamers and new players, as mentioned earlier, WotC expects the combined pressure of those two groups will force most DMs to abandon the canon for the material in the new books. That plan will probably work for the majority of tables. And the first response from someone is, you do realize that Forgotten Realms is not the only D&D setting, and thus not the only lore or canon that has ever been, right? It isn't even the oldest. By your logic, we should all be stuck with Greyhawk lore. Yes. I feel like the classical profile guy meme. Yes. And then someone responds, are orcs, mind flayers, goblins, drow, evil, and etc., evil and Greyhawk, or playable characters? When did those monsters become playable characters and non-evil? As far as I'm concerned, the only real canon is the one that allows playable species in 1E, and those monsters were almost certainly evil. Well, as I've said before, yes, drow are playable. You can love it or hate it. That's a fact of 1E. But the next response is the one that really just kind of makes me laugh. A great number of races around now were not even in existence yet back then. Drow did not even exist yet. And that is what led me down the fun rabbit hole. I don't know who this person is. Their handle, their Kotex, something like that. And yes, Vincent, Greyhawk is technically, Blackmoor is technically the oldest setting. You are correct. So, started digging. First of all, drow are mentioned not once, but twice in the Monster Manual, which was written during 1976 and published in 1977. That's right, there's 2 mentions of drow in the Monster Manual. Entry the first. Ooh, am I going to have to find this here? Let me see. May have to. Okay, there we go. Let me pull up Ye Old Monster Manual. Ye Oldie Monster Manual. I know they were statted in Fiend Folio. But the first mention of them, well, first with a qualifier, and we're going to get to the qualifier in a minute. The first mention of them may even predate this. This is from the Monster Manual. Drow. The Black Elves, or Drow, are only legend. They purportedly dwell deep beneath the surface in a strange subterranean realm. The Drow are said to be as dark as fairies are bright and as evil as the latter are good. Tales picture them as weak fighters but strong magic users. Gary teasing us a little bit there because he was probably already working up the G series. Now, I probably read this but then forgot it, but that is not the only mention of Drow in the Monster Manual. If we scroll down to the Sahuagin, Steve, if you're watching this, I hope I pronounced that right. I got a brain like Swiss cheese, and I may have forgotten how you told me to say it. If we scroll down to the Sahuagin, guess what? They get mentioned again. They get mentioned a second time. History and legend. The Sahuagin are chronicled because of their evil, having time and again raided the land, desolating whole coasts, and, of course, destroying passing ships continually. The exact origin of the Sahuagin is unknown. It is suggested that they were created from a nation of particularly evil humans by the most powerful of lawful good gods in order to preserve them when the deluge came upon the earth. The Tritons, however, are purported to have stated that Sahuagin are distantly related to the Sea Elves, claiming that the Drow spawned the Sahuagin. That's right. Now, someone on Facebook, because I was discussing this silliness, let me see if I can find it. Someone on Facebook brought up, now this is an edge case, and I'm going to say your mileage may vary. You may not believe this. You may not consider this canonical. But this is actually, there are dark elves in gods, demigod, and heroes, which predates AD&D. So this is from page 31 of Gods, Demigods, and Heroes. Dark elves. These elves dwell beneath the earth and cause trouble for anyone wandering through their territories. They live and cause evil upon Svartalfheim. That is from the Norse myths section of Gods, Demigods, and Heroes, which, of course, is the supplement that predates deities and demigods. It is basically the deities and demigods of original D&D. So you could make the case that dark elves actually do appear in original D&D. The entry for the Sahuagin, although very, very similar to what it is in the Monster Manual, the one in Supplement to Blackmoor is very different and does not mention dark elves. So anyone bringing you this idea, this year zero reset history bullshit, that you can't claim that dark elves are canonically all the way back to the origins of D&D canon, then there you go. There's the evidence that whoever started that claptrap is wrong. They're wrong. End of line. So that's as much internet drama as I am going to waste brain power on. Panic in the Year Zero, Robert Phillips. Yep, you got it. Man, I got to tell you, though, I ran myself ragged today. I have been doing just laundry has piled up because the missus is feeling ill. So I've been running all over the place, picking up prescriptions and chicken and stars soup and soda crackers and ginger ale, keeping the kids fed, dog walked, all that stuff. So stuff starts to slip. It's like Shagrat said, something has slipped. So it was a busy damn day. So it's nice that I was able to come here and just kind of rant a little, just sort of blow off a little bit of steam about that silliness. We can move on to other silliness. Although I will tell you, because I know many of you followed the saga with Zeus's eyeball, which, by the way, it's fine now. Zeus is fine. His vision crystal clear, and he is still the best dog, the sweetest dog. But I'm taking him out for a walk today. Now, Doc said I got to walk more, so I started getting back on the track of walking a 2-mile walk around the neighborhood. And we're going along. We're not that far from the house. We had just taken the first turn around the block. And so Zeus is going along. He's my black Labrador, 75, 80 pounds. Not a small dog. Not a, oh, you got something wrong, Daddy, pick you up, carry you home. No. He's walking along. Bam! Eats the sidewalk. Just right over. He kind of gets up real slow and looks at me like, the hell just happened? And picked up his toy, which he carries with him when we walk, and goes to take a step and pulls up lame. And I'm like, come on, dude. And I kneeled down and I rubbed his leg and he didn't feel anything had happened. So I'm like, you know what? It's kind of a scorcher anyway. Let's go back to the house. Get him turned around, take a couple steps. He can't do it. He can't go further. So now I start to panic because I'm like, oh, please, no. I can't. Having a pet is like having a sports car. All these little moving parts, any one of them goes wrong, and you are up the creek. So I'm like, what's wrong, buddy? We'll just go real slow. I don't care if it takes us a full hour to get back home, just going back around, just turn around. He can't do it. He steps forward and finally, I'm like, dude, what's wrong? And I kneel down next to him and he turns his paw over. And the poor guy, he's got this cluster of sand spurs. Now, if you don't know what sand spurs are, they're chaotic, evil, spiky balls of grass the size of a BB with thorns in every direction. And sand spurs make more grass that gives out sand spur seed pods by sticking to you in the most horribly painful way possible, usually in your feet or hands or knees or legs. So imagine a dog's paw, it's all curled up, there's little toe bean pads, and then all the way down up in the webbing, this poor guy has got like a grape-sized cluster of them in there. So I dig those out. Lots of fun, by the way. I got nothing else, like nothing to get the sand spurs out from between his toes. So I root around in there with my finger and, get him stuck all over my finger. But he's like, okay, Dad, thanks. Let's go. God, dog. So we went on our walk and then played a little fetch and went on to the house. I was just like, oh my God, please no, I don't need this right now. But you know what I do need? You know what a good balm for the soul is after dealing with idiots on the internet? Not you guys. You guys aren't idiots. After I just lost track of loads of laundry I did today, the balm for my soul. I know, Dungeon Minister. It's like I get a sand spur on me. I stop right there where I stepped on it and pick it out of my foot and drop it. Vincent, yeah, they're like stepping on micro cacti. That is a fine. I mean, the nice thing is sand spur burrs, like unlike cactus needles, don't really go in that deep, but they are deep enough that it hurts like hell. I remember coming to Florida and like getting my first sand spurs on me, and I was just like, am I gonna die? Am I about to die? Lego of the natural world. I like that too. So anyway, the fix for that is to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and that's what we're going to do. There is one thing I did want to mention before we get on the Dungeons and Dragons tack. Saturday, I live streamed. We did the first of a once a month round table live stream with myself, Dungeon Minister, Yang Zhao, and we're going to try and get kind of a panel of other folks to come on and talk about just kind of important media, culture, landscape kind of stuff. And we had a really good audience. I think we like peaked out at like 22, which is pretty good. But I want to take a quick minute. If you are not subscribed to the Dungeon Minister, please do so. He's awesome. He's doing the merch. If you are not subscribed to Yang Zhao's channel, please do so. He's awesome and an artist. Well, Dungeon Minister had a power hiccup, but he'll be back. So subscribe to their channels, please. Dungeon Minister is starting to creep up behind me, and not too far behind him is Yang Zhao in terms of subs. So let's get those guys. Let's get those guys over the 1K sub mark next, okay? All right, now let's talk about some D&D. Oh, thank you, Dungeon Minister. You're awesome, dude. Let's talk about Q1. Now, I apologize if you're just coming here. If you are just coming here to, let me see. For the first time to talk about the channel, see what we do, things we talk about here. Might be a bit of a Debbie Downer because you're coming in at the end of our talk about Q1, but all the shows, I don't nuke these live streams when I'm done. I know some YouTubers do, but I don't. Like, I very rarely put out pre-recorded videos anymore. Everything I do here is not very produced. Okay. I know that's a shock, right? You're sitting there going, oh, but your production values are so awesome. Right. Everything I do here is not very produced. So what you get in the live streams is what my show is. So let me see if I can switch this on then. But the reason I'm bringing that up is you can go back and watch the previous episodes of the G series and the D series. Can I? No, that is not it. That is the wrong tab. That, although I could have brought that up, I actually could have used that. Can I drag that? Can I just drag that in there? There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Low budget content is the best. Well, thank you, Luther. Also, if you're new here, I'm only going to mention this once because you've been seeing it scroll along. If you want to support the show on Patreon or on Subscribestar, them's the links down there. And that's it. That's all the tin cup rattling. Or thanks, or stickers, or super chats. You can do all that too. All that stuff's active. All right, now I think I can get it. I'm Nirvana's bleach of live streaming shows. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to think maybe I'm a little bit more Folsom Prison Blues or live at Folsom Prison, which has Folsom Prison Blues on it. But that actually was produced. Unknown to Johnny, like a lot of the crowd noise, he was like, the crowd was not that big. It sounds like we're playing to like a couple of thousand people, but it was not that many. So a lot of the whoops and cheers and audience noise you hear was added post without Johnny Cash knowing it. But anyway, I think I can get it now. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so there's Queen of the Demon Web Pits. And what I want to talk about with Queen of the Demon Web Pits, because it's such a great module, we have talked about, much to the joy of Luther Pendragon, I know, shout out to Luther there, all the different dimensional doors, not the spell, but doors you can open into other realms, warp into other realms, and have years and years of campaigning off of the demon web. Go into one realm, go into another realm, go into another realm, and do entire campaigns in each realm before you come back in and deal with the separate sections and the guardians to each section of the web, and then to the spider ship itself. There are so many opportunities and options in this module, and it is really a great one. But once you go to the spider ship, once you say, enough, we're dealing with Loft. As we saw Friday, because we had not enough people to play Gamma World on Friday, so we just talked a lot about this module. As we saw on Friday, Loft is not to be taken for granted. Any player who sneaks a peek in the module, it may be available. These may be available as pod, Vincent, so it might behoove you to grab the PDFs and get proper copies printed up, like at Printivity or someplace like that. Anyway, if you sneaked a peek and said, Loft has 66 hit points, she's toast. My fighter has 80 hit points. If you think you're going to cakewalk Loft, you're dead where you stand. But let's take a look at the spider ship, because we already talked about what a bad bitch Loft really is. Let's take a look at the spider ship. We'll finish up the hour, not the hour that the show's been on, but we'll go to 9 Eastern and talk about the individual sections just of the spider ship. So if your party hasn't screwed up and tried to wind walk, teleport, dimension door, or whatever, the demon web itself, and then wound up lost in the abyss for all eternity, and they didn't die in one of the multiple realms, and they didn't die at the hands of Loft's guardians for each section of the demon web. Let's look at what else waits for you in the spider ship. So we already know that there's kind of a, and here are the maps, by the way, guys. Decks A and B. And those are places that Loft can be in, by the way. C and D. There's secret doors to different areas. Oops. Oh, this mouse. Why must you be this way? Those L's, by the way, all indicate places that Loft can possibly be encountered. So when I was talking about, oh yeah, you can corner in this portion in the ship and then use the, if you've got a Daenerys Instant Fortress, use it as an anti-personnel weapon, which you can certainly attempt. It could also backfire on you. Because she could be in a big open area and just kind of, you poked a hole in my spider ship, disintegrate. It's a fairly well described map. It is the classic non-repro blue. Many doors. I mean, look at these doors here. Look at this array of doors. Luther asks, it has been a while. How does a spider ship work? Is an animated controllable metal statue or a real spaceship with electronics? A magical steampunk thing. Remember, there's stuff that'll pop into and out of reality in the spider ship. It is an unstable thing of chaos metal. It's very, very magical. As far as Loft not giving the rest of the drow the tech, I mean, remember, she's the one that has inscrutable tests that if you don't pass just to her liking, she will turn you into some horrible spider centaur thing, a Drider. So I can definitely understand her not just saying, here you go. With that said, I mean, look at Area 29 on the map here. That's a control room. That's a bridge. That's a helm. So let's check some of these areas out since Luther's asking. Woo! There's another, that's where I'm talking about using the Daenerys Instant Fortress as a grenade. But Loft isn't going to be gotten just that easy. You can run into her in other places. But it is a magical spaceship. See, these are, here we go. Damn you. All right. Coal bin, boiler, turbine, machinery, console. See, I think it's a combination, kind of like a more scary Baba Yaga's hut with a control room. Yes, that is on the nose. See, with enough wishes and time and determination, I think a party could get the spaceship in S3 functioning again. Hey, if your DMs throw a fit over it, first of all, DMs, don't at me. Players, don't say I gave you the idea, okay? But this is something completely different. So let's take a look at some of the nasty stuff that awaits you in there. Now, remember, Loth is attended by the Yogg-Sathol, her handmaidens. And they look like bad guys from Space 1999. Yes, S3, Barrier Peaks, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. And if you're new here and you're just getting your sea legs under you about classic D&D modules, we'll look at that. We'll do a deep dive on Expedition to the Barrier Peaks one day, just the same as we've done deep dives in all of these classic modules, because I love them and they are worth spending your time on, and it is worth preserving this knowledge, not just the adventures, but the rules and how to play them also. So let us scroll down. Now, there's a lot of stuff here. There are many pages of encounters. Hello, gorgeous. I am getting messages. Who is messaging me? Anyway. Barrier Peaks walkthrough? Sure. With the proper motivation, I'll cover just about any module. All right. So we've already talked a lot about the web and the things you can encounter in there, but we're gonna be talking about the ship now. Gonna be talking about the ship. So Loth's Palace, the spider ship. I mean, first you got a couple of gargoyles. They're just hanging out on the two mandibles on the front of the ship. And of course, it's supposed to look like a big giant metal spider. Did I fall off of Facebook? No, I'm still on Facebook. Or did I get kicked off of Facebook? Or Kool-Aid, are you saying you're not on Facebook anymore? All right. Whoa, you guys looked at my Facebook control panel. I'm talking ship. So there's random encounters. We talked about the mains and the closet you can run into, and the random changes, which are okay, mains, they're easy to deal with. Closets, they're easy to deal with. Random changes, lol, so random. And the first one, of course, we have the matron, the type 5 demon. The demon, if in danger of crying, I think that's supposed to be in danger of dying, will flee to room 2 below and try to gate in assistance. Imagine, I mean, a 5% chance is pretty darn high, in my opinion, that she could gate in a lord or a prince. Now, Loft might be pretty vexed if she does. But if she's about to get rubbed out, if she's about to get exterminated, then, and the party could gain further entry, right there, look at that. And she has psionics. So she could gate in a type 1, a type 2, a type 3, a type 4, or a type 6, or a demon lord or prince. She's bad news. Of course, she's also written player like a ditz. Now, she also has an assistant, a roper. I tend to think, despite the toughness of the roper on paper, that ropers are kind of pushovers. I think the demoness is much tougher challenge. She doesn't want anyone to see her cry. Well, that's like there's a misprint in the psionics section of the premium PDF for psionic powers, and it's supposed to be reduction, but there's an S, so it's seduction. And I'm actually kind of in favor of a psionic power of seduction, but you know. There's a few bugbears. Not too tough, not for a party of, 9th, 10th, 12th, 13th, 14th. Servants' quarters, there's a troll. 4 quasits. They can regenerate invisibility, cause fear, polymorph into giant centipedes. I'd have to get my hands on a copy of City of the Gods, Luther, but that's not without possibilities. Now, you may not want to do this, but in my Greyhawk, my home Greyhawk campaign, Dave Arneson's Blackmoor and Gary Gygax's Greyhawk are coterminous. The contact point between their universes is Blackmoor in Greyhawk, the land of black ice. There's things under the ice that make it black that a party could potentially find themselves in Arneson's Blackmoor. But there's plenty of weird stuff up there on its own. That's just a little something I do. There's an ogre. Again, none of this is terribly difficult for a 10th to 14th level party. However, we now have a couple of hill giants, 43 and 36 hit points each, who will immediately attack all non-demonic or non-drow. And I would say anything in here, don't bother rolling morale for. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to retreat to? What are you going to do if you go running away from a party and run ass over tea kettle into her dark ladyship in the middle of something unspeakable? Well, at least unspeakable, because I don't want to get demonetized. I would get demonetized if I spoke of it. So I would skip morale. I would just say these things fight to their death. One after another with each. Yeah, heck yeah, Dungeon Minister. That's what I'm getting at here. And then we have a Frost Giant. 50 and 51 hit points, damage 4 to 24. So they're going to be dealing out an average of 12, 13 points of damage. And it says right there, they will fight to the death. So we have some storerooms with some loot. Now, here's one of the first places you can find Loft, the Court of Loft. DMZ, Dispel Magic Zone. She's not stupid. 30-foot square area directly beyond the doors is a permanent Dispel Magic. 70% chance of destroying each potion that passes through it. Spells that are attempted while in this area and spells that have been cast upon people or objects will have a chance of failing as if the Dispel Magic had been cast by a 16th level cleric. It won't affect any spells that are cast outside of the area and are targeted within or through it. If a Dispel Magic is cast at this area, there's a normal chance that it will remove the permanents, thus destroying the DMZ. All right, we'll see you, Luther. And she's got a phantasmal force of herself right out of the bat, right out of the box, right out of the chute. And she's hitting you with a phantasmal force. And we talked about that. Players must be must declare they are attempting to disbelieve. This is where a lot of people house rule their disbelieve for illusory spells from. So bookmark that, screenshot that, little dog ear that if you got it. Don't dog ear your books. And here's where she watches. She has a spy room. Now, oh, look. Chamber of the Black Dragon, a young adult black dragon. Personally, I think 28 hit points is way too low. Cannot speak, is not sleeping, keeps a small amount of treasure. And what do we get next? Oh, look. Again, this is time after time. This is encounter after encounter after encounter. Loft is trying to kill anyone running this gauntlet. This is not meant to be easy. If you go through all of this, look, by the time you get to where Loft is, you are going to be beaten up. You've got to have a better strategy than just run through, burning up all of our spells, getting our asses beat. Because by the time you get to Loft and you're naked and afraid, which is kind of probably how Loft would prefer it, you know, if all you've got to bring to the fight are swords, she's full up. And if you just say, well, we'll just go out. We'll just go out into the demon web and, find a safe dimension and heal up and cast all of our protective spells. And then we know how to get back. All of this should be reset. Or even better, you should come up with more fiendish things. So the cold chamber, a young adult white dragon, which is like the black dragon. 24-point breath weapon 3 times. Oh, and the giant icicles that fall from the ceiling and attack as a one-hit die monster and inflict 2 to 12 points of damage when they land. Because Loft is not a pushover. Anyone who looks at this module and says, well, AD&D was a power gamer's fantasy, just like later editions, and here's a god they can kill. No. Loft does not just show up in a vacuum and draw a sword and say, I'll fight you all at once. And yes, I have actually had that argument with people. Yeah, exactly, Vinny. Here's your ass. A guard station with 4 ogres. That's 45, 65, 75, 79 hit points worth of ogres doing 1 to 10 points of damage each. Remember, wish, limited wish, alter reality, not going to work here. So you can't just wave your hand and get rid of some of these. Ogre barracks. Oh, look, there's 10 of them. A gargoyle den, 6 gargoyles. Guys, are you getting it? Are you getting it that Loft is not a pushover? And now we get to the temple of the true Loft. 10 giant sulfugids, which are giant scorpion-like beings. 10 giant pedipalpi that have a poison gas attack. And 2 driders. The female drider has all of those innate spells and can bless, command, protect from good, hold person, resist fire, silence 15-foot radius, animate dead, bestow curse, cause serious wounds. How awful would it be to see her drop one of your best friends, and then in the next round, while you're fighting the male and others, the giant pedipalpi, she raises them up and turns them against you. And your only alternative is to destroy them with a turn. The male has a little bit less firepower spell-wise. Magic missile, reduce, shield, invisibility, a couple of stinking clouds. Unless that was your cleric. Exactly, Kool-Aid. Fireball, a couple of fireball spells from a drow. Slow, ice storm. Only 4 will be within striking distance in the first melee round. Once again, guys, Loft is bad news. Oh, and did we mention the quicksand? The gray lead floor in the center of the room is actually quicksand. Any character who steps into this area will fall into the quicksand. All trapped characters fight, defend, and save at -4 and do not receive any dexterity adjustments. They sink in 1 to 4 melee rounds and die of suffocation in that same time period. They can try and pull themselves out. Water breathing will be of no use, but airy water will prolong life for 1 to 4 rounds. A necklace of adaptation, if they happen to have it. Then we have the Dispel Magic Zone. And now Loft gets in there. And let's say you make her retreat. Well, what else do we got? We have a 50 hit point Chimera. And finally, we come up to a Yochlol or Yochlol. And all of their effects. Stinking Cloud, +1. Look at their hit points, 33, 43. Poison and Psionics. One fighting as a 60-10 with 57 hit points. That would be as a 8th level fighter. Plate mail, +2 sword. Then there's a couple more at the stair. The Etten barracks finish off the deck. I mean, they're idiots, but 62 and 50 hit points, damage 2 to 16 or 3 to 18. A party is gonna get beat up badly going room to room in this thing. Couple of ropers, 79 and 68 hit points for the ropers. Operator's quarters. Operator, won't you help me make this call? 'Cause my party ran into a couple of succubi. Again, they can summon in demon lords or princes. Try and kiss and level drain the party. I mean, this right here, this, even if they fight them off after they realized what's happening, a party could go into this room as 12th to 14th or 13th to 15th level characters and leave it as 9, 10th level characters, which you might not think is that big of a deal until you realize that you're on a plane of the abyss, or remember it anyway. Again, this is a dangerous place. We have the bridge with all these control panels. This is something that Luther wanted to see. This is very like S3. Now, I love this. This is for every turn characters spend in this area, there's a 1 in 4 chance that the bridge will be contacted by another area of the ship through the voice tubes. A whistle will be heard, followed by a muffled demonic voice coming through the tube. If characters do not answer, nothing will happen. If they do, they must be able to communicate with the speaker and answer the questions. Question will vary from how much coal do we have left to when do we leave, or what's the pressure ratio of the upper breech governor pump. I am having flashbacks to Han Solo. You know, who is this? What's your operating number? And the loss of hit points. Yes, for the level drains. GR, you correctly bring that up. If the questions are not answered satisfactorily, something will come to investigate. If the Yaklal in room 24, deck C, are still alive, they will come. Otherwise, either the succubi from room 29 or 1 to 3 salamanders from the furnace room will come to see what has happened. Excuse me. Swallow a little spit there. And then we have, let's play with the controls and see what happens. Nothing. Sparks fly. Grinding noises are heard. The entire ship lurches, then rights itself. The ship walks forward 10 feet. Explosion. 3 to 30 points of damage. No saving throw to all within 10 feet of the console. Any result other than nothing happens. How many salamanders? 1 to 4 salamanders arrive on the bridge in 1 to 3 turns. The kennels of Loft. 8 harpies. Loft's ladies in waiting. There's more Yochlal here. Except they're in human form with all of the terrible things they can do. If the Yochlal are questioned, they will claim that they are captives of Loth, imprisoned for her cruel ends. They will be able to show scars and bruises as proof they know the location of Loth's lair and will give accurate directions to it. The Yochlal will also warn the party not to remove any of the furnishings from her chamber since Loth has planted all manner of hideous and magical and mechanical traps against the thieving quasits. The floor outside the curtain, 32 points of fire damage from a glyph of warding. And again, you can encounter Loth here. She has cast the following spells on herself: resist cold, resist fire, shield, protection from good, globe of invulnerability. Good luck getting your spells through that. And there are 5 giant sulfuges, big scorpions. And if things should go badly for her, she'll flee the room, passing through room 33, the treasure chamber. Many of these are the coins of chaos, and these and others are made of substances which cannot exist on the prime material plane. When the characters return to their own plane, they will discover that 99.5% of these coins have melted away into vapors, their existence being impossible anywhere but the abyss. That's mean. There's a hall of mirrors where you can encounter her. Magical animated statues. So those are going to beat your party up. Are you guys getting it yet? Are you kind of getting this playthrough, for lack of a better term, of Q1? She is not a chump. She is not a pushover. She is not a creature that can easily be dealt with just with drawing swords and attacking. Who's got 32 hit points left at this point? Exactly, Dungeon Minister. Exactly. I mean, it does ask the question, if it's so hard, why even have it? It is possible for a party to get through this module. What I am saying about the module is that it's not a cakewalk. It was never designed to be a cakewalk. Now, I think the whole spider ship bit, the web I'm okay with. The alternate realities, and I'll qualify okay with in a second. The spider ship, they're all good. I think the demon web itself is the place you should set an encounter with Loft, because the separate planes of reality, they're awesome. It is an awesome idea. This fighting Loft and the spider ship is very cool. It's just that they're kind of incongruous, in my opinion, from the tone that is set in the G, the D, and the G and the D series. I would say, this is my opinion, definitely keep and plan to run Q1. Get Q1 if you don't have it. Get it. You can buy the PDF at drive-thru and get it printed and bound somewhere else if they don't offer it print on demand. But I would say that I'm almost tempted to say run it separate from the G and the D modules, and do something with Gary's original idea for a party to fight an eldritch elemental evil god. Not elemental isn't earth, air, fire, water. I mean, elemental as in primordial evil god. But do keep Q1 to run, because it is a damn good and damn tough module. We have a few more areas to go over here, but we're coming up on the top of the hour. There's all kinds of machinery. That are run by Maine's demons, which are awesome. Characters can get burned by the boilers, buried by coal that will spill out of a coal bin. I think there's a mist thing with the dynamos. I think they should, these great black box-like things are covered with many dials and switches. I think they should spark and do electrical damage to a character, maybe as like a 4th level magic user, shocking grasp attack. That's what I'm talking about. Machinery, 6 to 60 points of damage if your party tries to move through there. Again, are you getting it yet? This is dangerous. This is really waiting for a character to screw up. Couple of salamanders at the mandible control room. And then if characters try and screw with the controls, 4 dials will start reading in the red and alarm bells will ring. A heavy rumbling will be felt through the floor. A hidden whistle will shriek. A crashing, crushing noise will be heard and felt through the floor. A squealing shriek of metal will be heard and levers will move by themselves. All dials will jump into the red and clouds of steam will spray from the boiler and turbine, doing 2 to 20 points of damage. No saving throw to those within the spray. A 3 and 6 chance each. The salamanders from room 38 will come to investigate the cause of any disturbance. Hidden in a brass cabinet are 5,000 gold pieces. And then we have the engine control room, which again, salamanders, and if the party screws with stuff, explosion, rocking the entire ship, call from the bridge demanding to know what the problem is, burst of steam. Here you get a save at -4 or take 6 to 36. I think you can save for half on that. Ship twitches violently, lights go out all over the ship, all machinery slows and stops for 2 to 5, or 7 to 10, nothing happens. If any result affects the entire ship, Loft and her guards will personally come to determine what the problem is, arriving in one turn. Loft and her guards, her Driders, her Yochlol, her her sulfuges, all that stuff is coming down to see what the problem is. Imagine you just got burned for 6-36, everybody in the party. And you're standing there hoping your skin doesn't slough off. And in she walks. And she's got the little band that I just talked about. Now, does 66 hit points only seem like a cakewalk? If the pipes along the wall should be damaged or broken, sticky web fluid will spray throughout the room. This will act as a web spell in the area. When enough has been released, it will begin to run down the ramps, making them very sticky and impossible to cross. There are great reservoirs of this fluid, and the supply is adequate to coat 1/3 of the floor of the whole engine room. Of course, Loft isn't going to be affected by that, nor are any of her allies or bodyguards. Here ends Q1, Queen of the Demon Web Pits. Guys, I hope you have enjoyed this deep dive into this module as much as I have. Q1 is a tough module. I feel that parts of it thematically don't mate up that well with the G and the D series. I do think it is a good module. I think it deserves to be its own jam. But yeah, I would do the Eldritch God fight on the prime material plane and save this for a special occasion. Or just use parts of it and have the spider ship or the other planes for special occasions. But like D1 and like D2, and to a lesser extent D3, it is a great folio of opportunities, and you absolutely positively need to give it its due. It needs to be in your gaming repertoire. It needs to be in your library. If you pick and choose, if you only use the spider ship, or you only use one of the possible planes, or multiples of them, or you only do the demon web section, there's just too much great stuff in here to not have a copy of this module. And hey, you may say, you know what, Bill? I think you're wrong. I think it is a fine continuance of the GD series. Q is a great place to end it. It works for me. Then it ends on a slam bang solid finale if your party can off Loft and end her threat to not just to Earth, but to the entire multiverse. Because remember, you kill her in the abyss and she's dead forever. She is gone. Now, granted, some other demon is going to or demon prince or lord is going to step up and fill the void. But demons in their infighting, I mean, they're more numerous than devils, and they're weaker because they are less organized. There will be a lot of repercussions if you're playing a long campaign with lots and lots and lots of politics in the abyss and so on. But one thing that I would say, if your party does it, if they make it through this absolute slaughterhouse of a module and manage to kill Loft, let them have it. Let them have it. They have done an incredible job. They have they have used good tactics, rather, and won through in just dynamite fashion. So that's it, folks. The G and the D series. I think the G1, 2, 3 are some of the most serious challenges in Dungeons and Dragons for players. Some of the most, not the most, but some of the most serious challenges for players. The D series are also, I think they're a greater challenge, but they are a great challenge to Dungeon Master for all the reasons that we've said about them. And Q1, well, we've talked about Q1 and its denizens. So, next week, we start the Slavers series. A1, Slave Pits of the Undercity. A2, Secret of the Slavers Stockade. A3, Assault on the Area of the Slave Lords. And A4, In the Dungeons of the Slave Lords. But as I said, those were written backwards. We'll get into what that is and what that means, but we're going to go forward through them. So I'm going to take a minute here before I go get some dinner and get ready for my Monday night AD&D game. I'm going to take a minute here because I do want to thank some people who really literally help keep the lights on here at the Delver's Dungeon. So thank you to Joshua Garlock, Lord Corion, Ricky Maru, Mobius, Kevin Reynolds, Doomsword Deathmaster, Mark Simpson, Damien 247, James F. Keck, William Smith, the Dungeon Minister, of course, Manny Wall, Mark Corey, Kevin Wood, Todd Sharp, Carnivore Farmer, Rob Euless, Jeremy Rule, Bo Ganora, Mikey Mank, and Sky Hernstrom. Thank you all so much. If you want to do something like that, as I showed right there, you can support the show on subscribe to our page. Oh, so I'm sorry. I said I wasn't gonna do that again. My apologies. Sorry, Jack. We just wrapped up. But hey, I mean, it'll be up for you to watch. But anyway, I hope you will join us at the GUOGC. There's the link to where you can sign up for games right down there, the band link. You can come join us on the Discord. Is that link still working? Let me see. Nope. That's Yang's. Let me do that invite thing one more time. So that's the Discord for the online con, and this is the Discord. This is the Discord for just general hanging out and talking. So y'all have an absolutely wonderful evening. Like I said, I'm going to go grab a bite to eat. It's been a lot of fun hanging out with you. I will see you tomorrow night. A little bit of preamble ramble. I'll talk more about the GUOGC tomorrow. And again, if you're new to the show, tomorrow night, we're doing live play first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. That's right. Right here. So be there. And then Wednesday, Kyle will return. So y'all have an absolutely wonderful week. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.